Welcome back, true believers and spectacular Spidey fans, and all you Merry Marvelites out there, and Avengers fans, of course, to another very exciting video. I'm back again with my dad, and we just, literally moments ago, finished our viewing of Avengers Endgame, and we saw it opening night. It is April 26th, and we didn't see it in IMAX, though, or the XD theaters in certain showings, but a standard theater for the movie, and it was still a total blast. And you know, people have been talking left and right, like, is this the best Marvel movie? How many times did you cry in it? Were you expecting any of that to happen? And I can say that it definitely met my expectations, and it didn't fully surpass, you know, like, oh my god, this is the greatest piece of cinema ever, but it was an amazing film, and definitely one of the best Marvel movies of all time, period. 10 plus years of the Marvel movies, from the first Iron Man to now, building up to this huge catastrophic event and conclusion of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And with this big payoff, I think it definitely did hit that mark. And this is a really ambitious thing that Marvel's done with their movies, connecting them all in one shared universe, and then having all these heroes have their own standalone movies, and now having this big event happen for all of them finally happen and finish, and now it's over. It finally ended with Endgame. It's a lot to take in, and I definitely think this movie requires multiple viewings to fully grasp as to what just happened and what went down. And just so you guys know, a lot of people have been saying, like, oh my god, I cried like 4 to 6 times. I cried twice, not that much, but it still did, hit me where it hurts in certain sections of the movie, and I do think that it did do a really great job with trying to fit in everyone from all the past films and have a solid conclusion to this overall story. And this is mainly going to be a spoiler-free review, so no spoilers in this section, but we will say when we are going to talk about spoilers while we keep talking. So for you, Dad, you are a huge fan of just Marvel and all the heroes within it. What are your personal, overall, genuine thoughts after seeing what we saw? After all the characters and all their movies, and seeing all these heroes in this one gigantic finale, what was it for you? What was it like for you seeing that?
Well, actually, with so many characters, to me, that's hard to have so many characters in one movie, and still not have just token little, segments. So I think that they did a really good job having all the characters in one big movie. I think they did a good job. Right. But I have to be careful on the spoilers.
Right. But with no spoilers, did you think that they did a better job than Infinity War, which was the last one that we saw, or was it like a bit more?
Well, I think always when you're doing the second half, with the first one, you got the big build up, and then they end it with a cliffhanger. And I think oftentimes when you're writing stories, it's always harder to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Most movies have that problem of wrapping up to have a good ending. So considering the challenge of that, of the last movie, all these disappear, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right? So considering that, then yeah, I think they did a good job.
I think the payoff was definitely worth it. And then for both of us, we, didn't see Captain Marvel beforehand. Even though I don't think you would necessarily need to see Captain Marvel before seeing this. You would just need to know who she is as a character from the comics. But mainly with the big payoff, with Infinity War, and then, what you said, the cliffhanger ending where everyone snapped out of existence, and then half the universe is gone.
Right.
And then what's next? For someone who is more, in the know of what's going on within the MCU, you could kind of tell what is going to happen. No spoilers, but you could kind of assume what is going to happen in that regard with the story and the, Infinity Gauntlet and all that, and the stones that Thanos took to form that and the snap that caused, and then how that leads into Endgame. You can kind of put together, oh, this is how it's going to happen, go down. But I do think that they did manage to do it in a way that was still exciting and wasn't too predictable. but still managed to do stuff that had us fully invested in the story and with the stakes that were going on. That is one thing that a lot of people do kind of, talk about, like, is there really any harsh, full stakes that make it feel like a serious predicament's going on? Like, the universe is in peril or the world's about to end. Like, because some people think, oh, no one's ever really going to die in these movies or whatever, or in Infinity War's case where everyone snapped out of existence. Oh, well, are they really dead, though? So that was, like, the big thing. Do you think that when you were watching this, you were, fully invested with the characters' arcs and their narratives, and, like, you were worried for them and, like, what was going on with their own personal, parts in the film and what roles they had to play in?
You know what? It's not so much the individual, but as a group. Because the Thanos, there were so many times where I'm thinking,
Yeah.
I mean, he's without revealing the plot too much, right?
Yeah.
But there's more than one time where you're going, this is it. They are screwed.
Yeah.
We are done.
Yeah.
So that, I think, was pretty,
And with Josh Brolin's performance as Thanos.
Yeah, no,
you think, like, he's the best part of the film, or, like, one of the other Avengers or characters?
Well, that is the film.
Is Thanos.
Yeah.
I have to agree. Because Infinity War was his main movie, pretty much.
It's him, and the fact that the stones and snap the fingers, and obviously they want to. That'd be a spoiler.
Yeah.
So we can't talk about that, but yeah.
But just with Thanos as a villain, you thought he was a really good character.
It's what he did.
Yeah.
In
the last movie.
The power. It's a combination of him and the Infinity Stones, and combine what he did with it.
Yeah.
But we can't talk too much.
Right.
The spoilers. We got to hurry up and get out.
I know. It is true. You hear a lot of reviewers have said that exact thing. Like, oh, you can't really talk about this movie without going into spoilers.
Yeah.
That is actually true.
So
because the whole movie is literally one gigantic spoiler. But before we do, for the non-spoiler people, what would you give this out of 10? This huge build-up. All these narrative stakes, all these narrative investments within these heroes that we all know and love. Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Spider-Man, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Hulk. And this is a good final conclusion to the overall MCU. Obviously, we still have Spider-Man Far From Home next month. And then there's the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 movies in works of, being written. Still, in being made, and a Black Widow movie. So all these, things, and then all these little Marvel series are going to be happening too. So there is still going to be more Marvel movies, but for this main cast of characters that we just saw through the actual Avengers, that is the end of their story. And for that, what would you give it out of 10 with that in mind? And everything that we saw.
Well, like I said, I think any movie that has to wrap up the movie beforehand, like the Star Wars movies. The first, the second and third. Of
the newer ones.
The older.
Oh, the main trilogy. Yeah,
it's always hard to wrap it up. So in that, I'd say on a scale of 10.
Yeah.
Considering I think that's such a challenging movie to
years
to come
worth.
out after.
Yeah.
I'd say it's at least a 9. Yeah, I mean,
I would agree.
8.5 minimum to a 9.
Yeah.
I think it's very hard to do a 10 with that storyline that they had to answer to.
And so many characters. And
I mean, what are you going to do?
Points.
You got all these people, I mean, half the population is gone.
Yeah.
You got half the superheroes are gone, and then how are you going to explain that?
Yeah, and then what's next?
And then, one thing is that when this is kind of partial spoiler, but I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, I can always cut it out.
You can always cut it out. The movie is pretty much 5 years after the fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was expecting it to be, right, next day or something like that. So that kind of threw me
Yeah.
a loop. But then as you, now I'm into spoilers, so you better stop it.
For that, you gave it a 9. I would also give it a solid 9 or maybe 8 due to what they do with a certain character, which we will talk about in spoilers. But the payoff, like what you said, 11 years of Marvel movies building up to this one moment is a really challenging task to do on the writers and producers side, and all these directors having their own visions for the characters and all
balancing out all the actors too, getting I mean, that's the other thing too. You figure that they even have to factor in screen time.
Yeah. And give them their own credits in sections of the film.
Almost every main character had equal screen time.
Just like Infinity War.
Without it being too much of a token. So that was, there's a lot of challenges to put that many characters in one movie.
Yeah.
And wrapping up a cliffhanger like the last one, that's a challenge.
It is a challenge.
That was one hell of a challenge. So I think they did great.
I think they did a great job too. And for just overall, is the payoff worth it? That is a question that some people are asking, like, is this movie worth it? If you invested all these years in all these movies and all these characters, was this worth it? I would say yes, it was. And with that, Dad gave it a 9. I would give it a solid, I'm trying to think, either between 8 or 9.
Yeah, well, that's what I said, like, I would even probably, an 8.5, because 8.5.
I definitely have to see it again. For right now, I'm going to give it a 9 because I do think that the payoff and the overall investment that they made with these characters in the film was worth it a lot. And I do think that what the overall cast and crew did with this project shows that they do genuinely care about this universe and these characters, and that the overall expense of their dues in this world was definitely worth it for the audience and for the comic fans and everyone who's enjoying these movies thus far. So that was our non-spoiler review, everyone. We're now going to get into spoilers after this.
Okay.
And we're back, everyone. So that was our non-spoiler review of Avengers Endgame. Now it is the time to fully dive into full-on spoilers of the film, because I think we can all agree, for those who have seen it, is that it's pretty much impossible to talk about the film without discussing spoilers when reviewing it. So my favorite part that happened early in the movie is that they killed Thanos. But the future Thanos, they decapitated him with Thor's axe. That was nuts. Although, I will say, we were in a boring crowd. No one was really cheering when that happened. They just kind of were like watching, like, oh, okay. I wanted to be in one of those crowds where everyone got super hyped.
But maybe it's because
they don't know.
Well, the whole thing is that, no, even when he got decapitated, but he said, he said that he destroyed the stones. So maybe that's why there's not a reaction, because for me, big deal.
Or he's like, are you saying like I'm everlasting or something like that?
What are we going to do now? I forget the line,
sorry, but
what are we going to do now? So maybe it's a more kind of
like they're screwed.
Yeah, we're screwed.
But I think that that, and also Captain Marvel saves Tony in space.
Oh yeah,
she's the one, and we were just talking about this in the intermission.
So let's do a little bit of Captain Marvel talk here.
Yeah.
Okay, so bottom line,
because we both have not seen Captain Marvel, but you do have a lot of thoughts about Brie Larson as Captain Marvel.
I haven't, with all the stuff on YouTube about Brie Larson, I'm just thinking, I just can't support that person, so I am voting with my dollars to say bad choice
as cast for Captain Marvel.
Because Marvel's such a cool company. And to pick her as an actress with her political statements, stuff like that, this kind of goes against my grain. But so two things that I want to say about the Captain Marvel is that now, after seeing this movie, sadly, I do want to see it, but I'll wait till it's on Redbox.
I will too, or on Netflix or something.
Exactly.
But
just because I can't, but I do want to see it. But I also think this, for people that are like me that don't want to pay money for that particular actress
Right.
at the theater
And,
is that I
seeing
actually
her in the movie.
right. But what I think is interesting is that I don't think it's necessary to enjoy the movie.
Yeah, to see hers first,
right,
and then see this.
Yeah.
And I agree because she's barely in the movie.
Yeah, so
which is crazy.
So it
because they're
isn't
building her
gonna-
up like this big factor in this movie,
right,
and then
it
she's
isn't-
not
it
even in it
isn't-
really.
It is not going to ruin your movie experience.
And
to go see it without seeing Captain Marvel.
And I'm indifferent. I just don't like what I saw of the trailers for Captain Marvel because none of the Captain Marvel trailers intrigued me to see the film, which is why I didn't see it.
Oh, okay.
But even more so, Brie Larson just as an actress, not just her as a person, because I could care less, but at her acting isn't really doing it for me because a lot of the reviews say that she was bland in her own movie. And I felt that even in this because she was a little bit bland at times as Captain Marvel interacting with the Avengers. But luckily, the interactions that they kind of play off with her, like Tony and Cap and Rhodey, War Machine and all that, they kind of have a good back and forth with her. But just when she's by herself, I don't really think it works that well. But I do like, alongside of that, how they all interacted as fully kind of what it felt like a team in this. I mean, we got that obviously in the other Avengers movies, but this was really where they fully are the Avengers. Like, this is the Avengers. Especially, we're kind of jumping far ahead now, but freaking Captain America finally said, Avengers Assemble. Yeah. And that was like the coolest thing. Yeah. I freaking freaked out, but no one else in the crowd really got too excited, but I was really, really hyped because that's like the classic line.
I think Chris Evans...
And he got the hammer.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, wow. he nails it. Just his facial expressions, the way that he delivers his lines, the interaction. It's so cool because, you know me, I'm a total Tony Stark.
Which I want to ask you,
fan.
because Robert Downey Jr. is besides Toby as Spider-Man, Robert Downey Jr. is like one of your favorite superhero portrayals as Iron Man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, and only because Robert Downey Jr. nailed that character so much.
He is Iron Man.
I mean, as a comic book, Iron Man, I was not that big, but once I saw that movie, I was totally hooked.
So how did that make you feel then when he died?
Oh.
In the movie.
Well,
and he snapped,
I mean,
I am Iron Man.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
That's one of the scenes. One of the two scenes I cried in was that, and then Ant-Man reuniting with his daughter, Cassie, at the house.
But
but for that scene for you,
Paul Rudd is great.
He's hilarious. One of the best parts of.
Back to the ending with Tony Stark. Because we're spoiler, right?
Yeah, full on going down.
I mean, that final battle. I mean, that's the thing. When I was trying to say in the non-spoiler, there's so many times within the plot I'm going, we're screwed.
Yeah.
I'm thinking,
they're done for.
We are screwed.
The movie's done. Let's go.
I mean, for them to be able to direct that movie in such a way that you're going, because a lot of times you see a movie and go, oh, they're going to get out of this.
Like classic tropes.
But on this
cliches.
one here,
you didn't get that.
No, I always was at we're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that's the whole time, which is when I was personally shocked when Thanos from the past comes to the present, and then they shoot the missiles down at the Avengers base, and that was like a big surprise attack, and then the whole thing crumbles.
But how about from Thanos in the past? Because Nebula, what's her name?
The blue woman, Nebula.
The computer, and they were able to hack into and all of a
see
sudden
her memories from the past.
So then
he
realized that, and he figured out real fast. Oh, they're from the future.
Yeah,
they're here right now, and I'm thinking all this effort that they've done, and they can't even catch him by surprise. He knows what's going on.
He knows what's going to happen and what happens to him.
And then Nebula, she's all jacked up there, and the thing and all that thing in the head. And you're thinking, we're screwed.
They did that to her in the last movie too, and they keep doing it. So I'm surprised that she is actually one of the best characters in the entirety of the Marvel movies.
Well,
they really did a great job with her in this film, and I really liked it a lot.
She is a major. she plays a major role in the movie, don't you? I mean, huge.
Yeah, she's
right?
one of the main factors of why they won.
Yeah, no, but she, in fact, that actress, because I was saying earlier,
Karen Gillan,
she
who plays her, I think that's her name.
I mean,
she's
great at it. Just her acting, the way she moves in there. She has that weird look where she looks down.
Yeah, and then her eyes are all
looking.
black almost, so it's kind of hard to see what she's looking at.
Oh, yeah.
So she is really great in that role, but as a better role, I think, was Chris Evans as Captain America.
Chris Evans is great.
He's
Robert
awesome.
Downey Jr., spoiler,
Go for it.
when he's in the spaceship with her,
Yeah.
and he says they got around oxygen, and
Yeah.
they're like how many light years or whatever away, whatever
They're drifting because they couldn't fix the ship. Yeah.
They couldn't fix the ship, and he's just got his T-shirt on, and he looks like really ill.
I don't know if that was special effects
Yeah.
or actually Robert,
And,
but that was crazy.
I mean, he looked really thin and just not healthy.
Yeah.
And
it was really great acting from Robert's
and I'm
part.
thinking,
He's done.
well, I actually thought that he was going to die.
Yeah.
then.
Really? Right
Yeah.
there.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
I thought they were setting up that he was going to die in space. So when all of a sudden that light came up, I'm thinking, what the hell could this be? And then it turns out it's Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
And she carries the ship back to Earth, right?
Yeah.
And then he's sitting in a chair and he still looks bad, but they
Yeah.
have the intravenous. Remember, did you see the intravenous?
Yeah.
So, but then later on in the movie, he looks more like himself.
Yeah, he's back to normal because
Yeah.
that was the 5-year gap, and then he's back to his normal state.
Yeah.
Because then even then, when they went back to the Avengers base, he was like strapped up to the IV and then resting,
yeah.
and still trying to get together.
But when they showed him in outer space, that was right after the last movie, right?
At first, but then they were there for a while, just kind of stranded in space.
But when they showed him in space,
yeah,
how much time do you think had transpired?
I think he
from
said
when-
like a few weeks.
right, yeah,
Because they ran out of food and oxygen and stuff.
But then eventually, later on in the movie, then he got his weight back. He looked healthy again.
But one of the biggest factors because we went on a tangent, but all the whole build-up was, I see some people say it was slowly paced. I thought the build-up made sense because of how freaking insane the final act was with Thanos' army facing off every single Marvel character, and Rescue with Gwyneth Paltrow becoming Rescue. Pepper Potts was such a cool thing because I'm a huge fan of Iron Man and the rescue dynamic between Tony and Pepper. I think it's so cool, and they put that in the film. Was nuts. Spidey came back, of course, and that kind of reflected scene between Peter snapped to dust and Tony saw him die. Now Tony is dying, and then Peter's there to see that, which now I'm intrigued to see where that leads into Far From Home, the new Spider-Man movie with Mysterio, and how that's going to affect Peter and everything. But what we were kind of talking about earlier, what we were kind of a little taken aback by is Thor.
Oh God, yeah.
Pudgy, sluggy,
depressed
Thor. And for the 5 years that after, he killed Thanos in the beginning, he's been depressed and in solitude and with Korg and Meek in the new Asgard. But then even in the final fight, he's still kind of like pudgy and depressed and didn't really do anything.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is
kind of like as a build-up, but...
I mean, the only thing I can think of, they're thinking, well, this could be a good little funny part. So they make... Thor fat.
Just like as a small joke, and then that's it. But then they kept going with it.
He's drinking beer like crazy, so he's a big beer belly. He looks terrible, and he's just kind of, his brain's not working too well.
Right.
He's half, bombed out.
Yeah.
But then eventually, when he goes to when they go back in time, him and
Rocket. Yeah.
He's still. Here they are.
Even
back
with his
there.
mom.
Yeah,
in Asgard, but he's still,
But they're there to get the stone. The whole reason there, and he's chickening out, right, and stuff like that. And he never, you know, I mean, who cares if he's a little bit overweight? But you would think eventually he would kick into Thor.
Yeah,
and
because
be
he
Thor.
sees what big they're time traveling.
But he never really kicked into Thor.
Yeah, and even at the end, he was
didn't.
still kind. It didn't really feel like
he was
the Thor that we all know and love.
It's like he, you know.
And it was weird because he was all still pudgy and big in the Thor costume.
Yeah,
with the kind of cool looking long hair and braided beard, but then it kind of was, I don't know.
But he had all that on, but he did,
and two hammers, the Mjolnir and Stormbreaker.
But speaking of hammers, what do you think of Captain America having?
That was the coolest thing the movie.
Well, you asked me earlier what I think was my favorite.
That was
part.
the coolest thing.
It's probably seeing Captain America
get the hammer and fight everyone and summon lightning with it.
That was so cool.
Yeah, he could actually control lightning, and he threw the shield and the thing. Wow.
Okay, so spoiler.
The best part about the movie was that scene, I think.
Spoiler is
go for it.
Iron Man dies. But
do you think his send-off was good? With everyone's there at his funeral at the house, the lake house? And then he has the hologram projection for Pepper and the daughter.
I like the hologram projection thing. I like that. But quite honestly, with them putting the heart on the thing, I'm thinking, why would you want to send that away? Someone's going to find it. You know, it's probably worth something, you know.
Right.
And then also, quite honestly, with the shows them all in the black, I thought, who's that person on the steps on the back? And they're going back to
Nick Fury.
No, that was Captain Marvel with her bad hair.
Oh, right, she was standing on the steps, and that's another thing.
With her bad
hair, because in the comics she has the short hair, obviously.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look that good on.
But but obviously, which is.
But what I found weirder was Hulk was in a giant black
sweater.
Yeah, funeral getup, and it's like.
Oh yeah!
You couldn't just bring back Mark Ruffalo for the scene?
Everyone had, even the robot. What's her face?
Yeah, the Guardians and Drax was shirtless, but he had the black pants on, but he was still shirtless.
Was he shirtless?
Yeah.
No.
Or did he have like a vest or something?
Yeah,
but still, it just kind of was funny just to see. It was really touching as the send off, but I think that it was really odd seeing Hulk there in full funeral attire and the glasses, and it was kind of strange. But what I am the most taken aback by is Black Widow's death, because I didn't think it was really that fleshed out, because I thought she would have more to do and at least have some sort of action sequence and then build up to her death. But instead it was kind of like, no, I'm gonna die. Hawkeye, no, I'm gonna die. Black Widow, no, I'm dead. No, I'm dead. No, I want to die. You die. And it didn't really feel like, I don't know. I get it because we know their relationship from the past movies, but I feel like that there should have been a bit more of a build up to that, and then she just kind of please let me do this, and then she goes. But I feel like they could have done it a bit better, or at least give her a scene beforehand with, to leave off with Bruce, because they have that relationship from the Age of Ultron movie, or Tony, or Captain America, or anybody, really. But then they just kind of get rid of her. And I love Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. So that was the one thing that I kind of had an issue with. That's why I gave it a 9 out of 10, because that one scene with Black Widow was kind of weird. But the visual effects were great. All the action sequences were awesome. I think the main big build-up, because the movie is kind of a slow start, but then it's obviously kicking into high gear near the third act, which was amazing. And all the crazy stuff, Spider-Man with the instant kill mode with the legs stabbing everyone, all the, Avengers coming in, and the portals, and all the Wakandan people and the mystics from Doctor Strange, and then Tony sacrificing himself. I am Iron Man. That was insane. And Avengers Assemble.
Yeah, well, that was cool, though.
Yeah.
Is that when you said how they, for him going... But the fact that, spoiler...
Yeah.
Because, when Thanos... He had the glove on, and he's starting to change it.
Yeah, and
he had the glove on.
Yeah,
it was on,
and
he
it
was
hurt Hulk, but he was
still
building up power.
Change. But then it was Captain Marvel who went there
which was cool.
Was pulling it off
her part, yeah.
And then
which made her valuable to the team.
So she was the one who got the glove off
and helped to get Tony an edge,
Right,
to
and
take
then-
the stones away.
Yeah, no,
And then
but
he put it on
when
his
she
own
was, yeah,
arm.
but it happened so fast. So she was pulling it off,
Yeah,
and then Tony went over there.
yeah, like
and,
because Doctor Strange was like, "You got to do it."
and he was
and he's like, "All right, then."
But did Tony help her take it off?
She kind of gave Tony a little breathing room to get in there, and then he took the stones off of the gauntlet.
And
took out Thanos
like none
with
of
the
us
snap.
knew that because
No,
all of a
'cause
sudden
he's like, "I'm done."
yeah, because
and they're like, "Wait, it didn't
then-
work."
and then,
Yeah.
and then he said that he was inevitable.
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's right. He was inevitable,
Which is crazy good
They
acting
show him
from-
with the hand, and you're thinking, "Oh no,
Yeah.
was he going to do it again?"
Right.
Well, actually, like nobody. He was going to get rid of
Everything, which
Yeah.
I love
And
that.
start- yeah,
I
well-
love that because at first I'll take out half of the
Right,
universe
right.
and try and make it so that the population can thrive
Right.
across the entirety of the
Yeah,
galaxy.
but this,
like, I'm gonna kill everyone.
Right,
That
and just
was
do a whole new-
perfect.
And I'm
Yeah,
thinking,
yeah.
and then
Like,
it shows
wow.
him, and he was
so
gonna-
he's like
and-
irredeemable.
and he snapped it.
And then
Nothing happened.
Which,
And
by the
then-
way, his new weapon was awesome. That sword thing was
and
crazy.
Then it shows Tony, and Tony has it.
Yeah. And then he's
That
like,
was so
and then
cool.
he's like I'm inevitable. Like, well, I am Iron Man.
And he goes,
then, and then he snaps.
He snaps
and then
it,
he
but,
dies, and then it's
right.
it's
But-
poetry.
But just like,
But that
earlier
was
in the movie,
the
remember
highlight
when
of
they
the
were-
film is that whole
when
final act.
they were trying to decide who was going to put on the glove, and then the Hulk said, "Well, it should be me because of the gamma rays."
Yeah.
So that's what it is that Tony pretty much knew that for him to do it.
Yeah, it was
Something-
his time, which
it
I think
was
was
something
well
better.
earned. I think it was a good way to get Bruce involved into this part.
But you know
besides
what-
conducting the time travel, he then tried to justify, like, I got to do this.
But think about it. But then the other thing though too. So Tony Stark dies,
yes,
but
and
you
so
know,
does Black Widow, which
but-
I'm upset about.
the third part though is Captain America,
Is old.
because he goes.
Chris
back,
Evans goes back to put the stones back.
Yeah, to put
in
the
their own
stones
separate
back,
timelines.
and he should be back in a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
And he doesn't go, and then they turn around, they see this guy sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
It turns out to be.
At first, I thought it was non-super Captain America.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
before the super soldier serum.
Yeah, because it had that tangent. So
because he looked smaller.
Yeah, because I
And
was
then,
thinking, it was going to be him before he turned to
Yeah.
the skinny guy.
Yeah.
I thought, were they going to bring that guy out of the woodwork now? And when they panned it, and he was old.
Old.
And then
That was
obviously,
crazy.
I was hoping that, he's old, but
He'll be okay.
if he went back in time to be with the woman that he
yeah,
loved,
that would
then
be.
that would, which I think is a great way to end the movie.
And there was no post-credit scene. It just ended with that.
No, but
which
that
was
which I
really
think is cool. So it kind of offsets the sadness of
Tony's death.
Tony's death.
Gives you a
and-
little
and
bit of
Black
light at the end of the
Well,
tunnel.
yeah, because
Because you see Black Widow died, Tony died.
yeah, and
Cap's old.
and Cap here he was Captain America, but throughout that whole time being Captain America, he always
Stayed true to himself.
well he loved her.
Yeah.
but because he was frozen,
he couldn't be with her. And, yeah.
So that kind of made
Was a really wonderful payoff.
well, yeah, because it kind of wronged. I mean, it righted a wrong.
Yeah, and then, which I like a lot, because from the comics, it's teased that Anthony Mackie, Falcon, will become the next Captain America.
Which is cool.
Because he gave
too.
him the shield. Because I love Anthony Mackie as an actor,
Which is neat,
and he's
though,
great as the Falcon. So
because
I'm really looking forward to how that could work out.
whereas like Captain America was happy. He
Yeah,
was sitting on the bench, but he was happy.
yeah,
Because
like, it was beautiful,
he
like,
was-
with My
he
Happy
put the
Life.
stones back, but he was able to do something for him.
yeah.
And pass on the shield. He go, "What? I used to have a present for you,
Right. Yeah.
right?"
Yeah, and he's like, "How's it feel?" Like, well, it feels like it's something that I don't deserve.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's
Yeah,
yours.
yeah. Well,
which is
and then
nice. It's
another
like,
thing
thank you.
too. How about the battle scene towards the end when Cap has Thor's hammer. And
Yeah,
he's just
throws it
bringing
with the shield, and then the shield
Well, yeah.
destroyed.
I mean,
pretty
that's
much.
the thing.
Broken.
Thanos is so powerful. He broke.
Yeah, because that sword is so strong, it could tear apart what that metal was and everything.
So the battle of Thanos.
Even Thor's hammer couldn't crack
Yeah.
the shield, but this sword can.
Yeah.
Which was crazy because I wasn't expecting. I thought it would just make some scratches, but it chipped away.
But that's
shattered.
But that just shows how powerful that he was. I mean,
Yeah, and really wanted to kill.
Oh, I mean,
I'm going to enjoy it
needed-
very, very much, killing everybody on Earth.
Yeah.
Wow, he was a great villain.
Yeah.
I think is the biggest highlight besides Tony Stark and Captain America was Thanos himself, and of course, some humorous moments is America's ass.
Oh,
that is America's ass with Ant-Man. That is definitely America's ass. That was the best.
Yeah, that was totally funny.
And Paul Rudd was definitely. And remember that one scene with Rocket Raccoon? Oh, you're like a dog. You want to go to space?
Oh yeah.
You want to go to space? I was laughing a lot during that.
Well, it's kind of fun. I mean,
everyone had their highlight too.
Again,
just like Infinity War, this happened again. Everyone had their own standout moment.
You know, even something. How about this? The way the movie started
with
Hawkeye.
Yes, his family slowly going away, and then you see the smoke flakes.
I thought that was a really cool way to start the movie.
Yeah. And it didn't start with the Marvel logo or anything, just slowly opening.
It just, it kind of, I thought that was pretty daring how they opened it up like that. That was cool, because it kind of,
it was really,
once they disappeared, right?
Yeah.
Then it kind of takes you
back to what happened.
To what
in
happened
case you
in the
forgot.
movie. Yeah. And you get to feel the whole severity of
all over again.
And then all of a sudden it says 5 years later.
Right. And because he wasn't in Infinity War. If you remember, Hawkeye wasn't in Infinity War because he was never there because he was under house arrest.
Okay.
Or just retired with his family on the farm, and then we see what happens, and then what brings him back out in the field is because they died.
Yeah, so that was great. And then after that, because there was a little slow part there, so other people think
everyone's gone now. What do we do? Oh, we just keep living.
Oh yeah.
So it built up, and then Ant-Man was back. He saw his daughter.
Oh yeah.
He tried to meet with Black Widow and Captain America.
Right.
We get a lot of emotional moments with them.
Yeah.
But then again, this slow build up, slowly to the huge giant fireworks show that was the finale, pretty much.
Well, you know what though,
and I think it paid off a lot.
It kind of makes sense because I think they had to establish the severity of what happened and how. I mean, because if you really think about it, it's not like this, someone died, but then you have your friends and family, and they can kind of help you work through it. But this is something that
no one's really
everyone shared.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
The entire world went through this.
The entire world has major people that they've lost.
Yeah.
All at once.
Mm-hmm. So and they can all connect to that. Yeah.
So it makes sense it'd be some global kind of a depression if you really think about it.
Yeah, it connects with everyone.
Yeah. So, I think that's maybe why on the surface it comes off as slow, because I think they kind of had to do that to establish that.
Yeah.
The whole severity of what happened. Mm-hmm. And then but it was Ant-Man his example with Tony devising the fact that maybe they can go back into
because we think we can have a chance. So you're telling me you're just gonna sit around that's right, because he has a family now and he doesn't want to lose that.
Right.
Pepper and the sweet daughter Morgan, I think her name was. I know a little bit about her from the comics. I'm not too sure if she eventually becomes Iron Girl or Iron Woman or anything. Because cool. Pepper Potts is Rescue, which is Iron Woman essentially. So I forget if there is a Morgan Stark in the comics. I'm sure there is, but the payoff with Tony just dying was really impactful after 11 years of him as Iron Man. And
even
the
way that they did his makeup,
with the scar and the burns, and he's not coming back from
Yeah,
that.
no,
Hulk
he
survived it because he's strong enough to deal
but
that
even
damage and the radiation, but it still got him.
No, but he's, I think he's got permanent
damage because he's
damage.
still in the cast and his body's messed up. But Tony, he just used his own body.
Yeah.
No powers, just the suit.
Just
and
the
it's
suit.
got him.
Yeah.
So, you know, and all we've talked a lot about the movie. There are again a few nitpicks with Black Widow and Thor, and I don't think it should have been 3 hours. It didn't feel like it, but I do think that they could have taken out some bits, or at least, you know, done a bit things a couple bits differently. But overall, we gave it a 9 out of 10. It is definitely one of the best Marvel movies, I think, that they've made, with the Avengers and the main cast that are in this movie, essentially. And again, if you're a huge fan of Marvel and the MCU and all these characters, it's definitely worth the payoff. You will maybe find some slight hiccups in the film. We never had to use the bathroom. Because that some people were like, oh my god, the biggest, you know, problem with Endgame is that I had to use the bathroom the whole movie. Like, that wasn't really with us. We were fine, and we had bottles of water with us. So definitely see it. I would say recommend seeing it more than once, which is weird because I only saw Infinity War in theaters once. But I do think I want to see this in theaters again. And I could wait until Netflix, but I think this one I do actually want to see in another theater again sometime soon. But I think it was an awesome film. What about
oh yeah, I was gonna say, okay, now let's do the more boring stuff. What do you think of the special effects?
Great. I thought, I don't know if it was just me, but I think Thanos looked a bit better in Infinity War than he did in this. But this is the best. Well, Iron Man looked really good in his the main movies he's been in, you know, his own standalone movies. For some reason, he looks a bit more cartoony. The worst was in Spider-Man Homecoming. He looked super cartoony in that. This, though, I think it was a good mix between CGI and some practical effects. Captain America's suit was awesome, though. It was like my favorite design of him. Thor, again, though, was weird with the braided beard and the hair.
Thor being overweight throughout the whole movie, to me, was just
and they even kind of made him as like the Big Lebowski as a joke, and like that's not really Thor. I mean, but okay,
it's too bad that they couldn't have had him more
like how he was in Infinity War. That was Thor, but then of course the effects of the snap got to him, so I understand. But still, they could have done it a bit differently. But overall, special effects were awesome. Story was great. There were some plot points I wish, you know, could have been done a bit differently, like Black Widow and Thor. But overall, awesome movie. Epic way to kinda conclude the MCU for now. But again, next up though is Spider-Man Far From Home, and as you guys know right now, I am not looking forward to it because of how awful it sounds, and I just really hope that it turns out to be better when we get a new trailer soon, probably. And the game, you guys know me, the game is literally peak Spider-Man quality, so if it can somehow possibly come close to that same amount of quality that the game has, or even the Raimi movies, or even the Amazing Spider-Man movies, I just hope that Far From Home can be as close as to how good Avengers Endgame was. But anyways, guys, that was our full-on spoiler discussion for Endgame with Avengers Endgame, and my dad and I were lucky enough to go see it opening night. It was awesome, and we definitely recommend that you all go see it and have a wonderful time, and let us know what you thought in the comments section down below. But until then, everyone, next time, thank you all so much for watching. Stay spectacular, Spidey fans and Merry Marvelites. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.